Christmas is fast approaching, and I had a little incident a couple of days ago that was, well, quite frankly, it sort of rattled me. You see, my daughter is 4 years old, and I noticed that she was looking despondent. I mean, it frightened me. You know, when a 4-year-old child looks despondent, you sit up and take notice, right? So I went up to her and I asked her, you know, what's wrong? What's the matter? You know, and she looked at me with these big, beautiful eyes of hers. And she said that she had been over playing at her little friend's house, and the little friend's older brother, a 10-year-old boy, had intimated that Santa Claus didn't exist. I mean, oh boy, right? My daughter, you know, understood the notion of Santa Claus when she was about a little under 3 years of age. And last year, she was all looking forward to Santa Claus. And she was very worried last year of being on Santa's nice list, not the naughty list, right? And so she would always do things to be on the nice list. And she'd ask us, you know, I'm doing this, so I'm going to be on the nice list, right? Santa Claus was a big deal to her, right? And here was this 10-year-old little punk telling her that Santa Claus didn't exist. And she was looking at me for answers, right? So I knelt down to be at eye level with her, and I leaned forward and looked her in the eye with a furrowed brow. And I held her gaze, and I said to her, "Of course he exists. I talk to him all the time. Yeah, I do. I talked to him a couple of days ago. I have his number on speed dial." Wait, let's see if... Oh, wait. It's kind of late in the North Pole. You know, Santa is probably sleeping. Santa and Mrs. Claus and the little elves. They're all probably sleeping right now, so I'm not going to call him now. But, you know, I'll call him tomorrow, and if I don't catch him, look, Christmas Eve, when Santa comes over, we'll stay up and we'll talk to him, right? Yeah, of course he exists. Santa Claus. Yes, of course, dear, he exists. Absolutely. I'm telling you that he exists. Okay? The weight, I could see the weight coming off her shoulders, you know? And from that despondent look, this big, bright sunrise of a smile burst out, and she ran off to play, and that was that. Emergency solved. Some of you, I'm sure, are saying, well, you should have told her the truth, you know, that Santa Claus doesn't exist. And to you, I answer, you know, what kind of a complete asshole would I be to strip away the illusions of a 4-year-old girl? Her belief in Santa Claus, on the one hand, is perfectly harmless. And, you know, she's not doing anything because of her belief in Santa Claus. And on the other hand, it actually does some good, because every year she looks forward to Christmas. Every year she's conscientious of staying on Santa's, you know, nice list and not on the naughty list, right? You know, it does a lot of good. And it doesn't cost anything. It doesn't have any really negative effect. When she was little, when she was 2.5, 3, and she had the concept of Santa Claus, and she became very self-conscious about staying on the nice list, she would do all kinds of things to be on the nice list, you know, and thinking to herself and saying that she wanted to be on the nice list, right? But those attitudes and actions and behaviors became just a natural part of who she is. And you could say that, you know, this is a mind control or some crap like that, that with the illusion of Santa Claus, we made her behave like a good little girl. But so what? You know, okay? At the end of the day, all that matters is, you know, she's helping around the house, and she doesn't beat up her annoying little brother, okay? That's the important thing, right? Right. Now, Santa Claus and God, I mean, they're two big white guys with big white beards up in the sky, both of them. I mean, they're practically twins. What kind of an asshole would you have to be to strip away somebody's belief in God? Especially, you know, if they're not that sophisticated, not so intelligent as you, perhaps. You see, I myself am an atheist, right? I don't believe in God. I recognize that as a human being, my understanding of the universe is quite limited. But I do not believe that there is some large white man with a white beard up in the sky controlling everything. I don't know what created the universe, and I believe, quite frankly, that my limited human intelligence and the limited human capabilities of my species will never come to any definitive answer as to how the universe was created. It's one of those mysteries, and c'est la vie. But I don't believe in God, and yet I would never strip that belief away from anybody. Even if my religious upbringing had been damaging to me. It wasn't, by the way. I had a lackadaisical kind of Roman Catholic upbringing, and my family was not particularly religious. I was never religious myself, and I just, the idea of God was never like a big deal. And so today, as a grown man of 50, or nearly 50, I just don't believe in God, and that's that, right? But you see, I would never strip away that comfort from somebody else. I've met a lot of people who are religious, some of them deeply religious. And their religion and their belief in God gives them a sense of purpose, especially if perhaps their lives are not as happy as they wish they had been, especially if perhaps their life is filled with defeat and setbacks. What good would it be for me to strip away their belief? What kind of an asshole would I be? How lacking in compassion would I be to go up to somebody who is a believer and rub their nose in their ignorance and say, look how stupid you are. What a moron, what an idiot you are to believe in God, in this big white guy up in the sky. How stupid of you. What kind of an asshole would I be if I acted that way? And to what purpose? What would be the point of me acting this way towards somebody who holds a belief that is, for the most part, at least Christians and Jews, harmless? The belief in God, it doesn't harm anybody, and it gives a little bit of comfort to people whose lives are not so fortunate as my own. I've never understood atheists who go around belittling people who believe in God. I've never understood atheists because so many of the problems of their lives could be solved by religion, by going to church. I mean, I know so many atheists, young men who are self-consciously atheist, right? And they're very lonely. And they live alone, and they have no friends, and they are online all the time because that's the only social release that they can find. If they went to church, well, they'd meet very nice people, church-going folk. And, in church mixers, they'd meet some nice girl. Maybe not a supermodel and maybe not very sophisticated, but a decent person. A person who'd have her priorities on straight, who'd be thinking of having a family and having children and building a loving and comforting and cozy home. And what's wrong with that? Well, there's nothing wrong with that. As I said, I myself am not religious. I don't believe in God. But I am extremely sympathetic towards those who are religious, who do believe in God. Because what they do, their belief, their religion, gives comfort. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with a little comfort? A little lie, perhaps, an untruth, that fills their life with joy and meaning and purpose. Even very humble lives with very little to look forward to. What's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with allowing people to have their illusions about God or about whatever else if it gives their lives a little bit of comfort. And there's nothing wrong with joining in that illusion, even if you don't really believe it. Because I certainly don't believe in Santa Claus, but when I'm talking to my daughter, I most certainly believe. Okay? I certainly believe because it gives her joy. And for the time that I indulge in that illusion of Santa Claus, I myself feel joy. I feel that joy and that anticipation of the big white guy with a big white beard who'll come down from the sky in his reindeer, sled and leave presents. Of course he doesn't exist, but so what? The happiness and joy and comfort are enough.